Flip 7, in essence, is just a simple game of push your luck. While it's a game that doesn't need overthinking, for those of us who would like to win more often, these are the 7 strategies that are worth looking at. If you hang around till the end, I've got an overall game plan to help you win more in just a quick snapshot. This is Legendary Tactics. The name of the game is Flip 7, but is it actually worth pushing your luck to get to the 7 cards? You get 15 points. That bonus isn't super stellar, and certainly not compared to the risk involved. How many points would you lose to push to get maybe a few extra? There may be glory on the line to score a Flip 7, and your pals will most certainly goad you into going for it. But remember, if your opponents want you to do it, then it's likely not a good thing to do. Really bad odds. Once we get to tip number 1, I'll offer you a suggested cutoff point. But for now, just know it's vital to know your limit and stay within it. Don't get wrapped up in the moment. In fact, the real value is not in the 15 bonus points, but in potentially getting a 2x card. This guy's huge. Or just adding up the values of the total 7 cards that you get. Tip number 6. Although it may be tough for the average player to do it, it doesn't hurt to do some card counting. You can check out the statistical probability of getting each of the cards here. There's 12 12s, 11 11s, 10 10s. So if you're down in this end with your cards, you're probably pretty safe to hit. If you've got a 12, an 11, and a 10 in your hand, you're likely going to want to quit. But these important cards, the 10s, 11s, and 12s, they also score really high for you. This isn't a perfect way to count or to add up or tabulate the amount of luck involved in the game, but something you can do to have a rough idea of what to expect with your next draw and whether you have a good chance of surviving it is to use the information available to the other players are providing at the table, and if cards are laying face up, depending on how your group decides to play, that's all public information that you can use to inform your decision making. Number 5, play the odds. If you want an easy shorthand to calculate the odds of busting on your next draw, just add up the points that you already have and convert that to a percentage. So using this method, all things being equal, if you have, say, a 10 and a 12 in front of you, then you have roughly about a 22% chance of busting with your next card. It's not perfect, but it's a nice little indicator to guide your decision making. After 25 or so, the odds of busting diverge from this shorthand, so it's actually much higher than what the shorthand would suggest, but it is a good starting point in the early part of the round. The game will always have instances where you have a 2 and magically draw the second 2 card to bust. Conversely, you have some instances where someone keeps drawing with 9, 10, 11, and 12 in hand, and somehow they still get their Flip 7. That's just part of the game, and that's part of the fun of the game. But those instances are the exception, not the rule. So how about the action cards? How should they be used? Let's start with the freeze card. Number 4, the freeze card. The freeze card can be used in a few different ways. You've got 3 of them in the deck. The default is to use the freeze card on the player who's in the lead to stop their momentum. If it comes up later in a hand, it can be used more strategically to prevent a player who's doing particularly well in that round, especially if they have a second chance and might have a decent chance at a Flip 7. If they're going to double up, you got to shut that down. In an extreme instance, you could use it on yourself if you have a decent score and you're worried about somebody playing a Flip 3 action card against you, which might be likely in a game with a higher player count. And also, if you've already played a freeze card on somebody else, they might be more inclined to play one back on you, even if you're already in a losing position. So just bear in mind the social dynamics at the table. If you know your opponent is an extreme risk taker and is more likely to go bust if left to their own devices, then you may actually not want to freeze that person. So this will allow you to keep all the points that you have accumulated up until that point. Number 3. The only use of a second chance is allow you to keep hitting until you get a double that cancels out the card. And it's only with one of these in hand that you ever might even consider risking a Flip 3 on yourself, but I really wouldn't do that. There's really no sense. You can just take the cards one at a time. There's one exception to this, and I'll get to that. Flip 3 is best given to another player, especially if they're players who are heavy in 10s, 11s, and 12s showing. It can backfire sometimes and give your opponent 3 good cards, but the one thing it takes away regardless is the ability to see the round evolve. This is valuable because it can affect your decision to hit or to stay. For example, if everyone else has busted and you can better gauge the risk of hitting or staying to keep your points, you might as well know what your odds are. It's generally not advisable to drop it on yourself, as people sometimes do. You have no control over when you can stop flipping those cards. And there are some edge cases when getting to a flip 7 early to suddenly end the round, because the round does end when somebody hits that flip 7. Might be useful if somebody's getting really close to winning the game and you need to rush it, but that would be the only edge case. Number 2, when to hit. The core of the game flip 7 rests on the decision of whether to hit or to stay. It's a bit like blackjack in that way, and like blackjack, you want to leave the emotions out of that decision if you want to win. If you're just having fun, yay, have a ton of emotions, that's great, but you're here to win. Mathematically, the statistical goal is to score between 21 and 23 points, which is about 4 cards total. This, of course, refers only to the number of cards and not the modifier cards, which have no effect on the risk of hitting and receiving another card. It isn't as exciting or fancy as some of the players at the table, but it'll give you a great chance of winning. You'll be Steady Eddie, who keeps moving up 25 points at a time, while everyone else keeps pushing their luck too far. And sometimes it's good to realize that getting a new card doesn't have to change the odds that much. If you're comfortable hitting on an 11 card and you draw a 2, you should hit again, as the odds are almost exactly the same as they were the first time. Number 1, the game plan. So here's the game plan that I promised earlier. Draw cards until you're at or above 21 points, then stay, unless you have a second chance card in hand, in which case you can go until a second chance card is used up. In general, freeze the player in the lead and drop a flip 3 on the player with the riskiest hand in play. If a player gets far ahead of you, you can start to take some more risks, but otherwise you should minimize recklessness, as you want to stay competitive as long as possible. Unless, of course, you're just having fun and you really don't care if you win. In that case, just keep on flipping. And that is how to win at Flip 7. Let us know if we've missed any. Now get out there, get gaming, and be legendary.